Learn the vegan truth with MC Fructose.
Oh yeah, MC Fructose in the house.
Tune in every Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time to learn how you can improve your health, lose weight, and reverse disease by following a diet of fresh, raw, ripe, organic fruits and vegetables void of any animal products. We'll have interviews with pioneers, doctors, and athletes thriving on a low-fat vegan diet. This is the Vegan Truth.
If people ask the where you get your protein from, you can tell them all the food you eat contains some. Truth be told, we don't need that much, so excuse me while I eat my favorite fruit for lunch.
Welcome to the Vegan Truth. This is your host, MC Fructose, Gabe Smith from EasyRawLife.com and Easy Raw Food on YouTube. Today I'm going to have a very special guest, my friend Harley Johnstone, also known as durianrider. durianrider is outspoken, controversial, in-your-face, blunt, and honest. He runs a very successful YouTube channel by the name of durianriders. He has over 50,000 subscribers, 38 million views on his YouTube channel. He's a full-time YouTube professional with over 1,200 videos about living a healthy, low-fat, vegan lifestyle. I'm really excited to have him on the show today. Some things that have been happening recently with me. I moved across country from Chicago to Seattle. Now I'm back home where I used to live. I'm from the Pacific Northwest, and I'm surrounded by family and old friends, and it seems like a lot of my family is very supportive of my dietary choices and my lifestyle choices, but some of them still seem a little concerned, especially my grandmother, who is coming from a very old school perspective about diet health. She was a nurse back in the 60s and 70s, and she has this idea still in her head that humans need to be consuming complete proteins. Same with my stepmother and my stepbrother, and people have brought up issues with me and said, where do you get your complete proteins? Plants and fruit doesn't contain full complete proteins. Well, I just wanted to let some people know that back in the 1970s, people often concerned themselves with combining proteins so that all of the essential amino acids were available at each meal. Later research has determined that this is not necessary, and in fact, the author of The Incomplete Protein Theory, Frances Moore Lappe, recanted 20 years later, saying that she was utterly mistaken. We do need the essential amino acids, but we do not have to eat them together or even in the same day. Of course, consuming protein is important, but so many people are concerned with protein when really we should be concerned with other issues, such as, are you getting enough potassium in your diet? Are you eating too much fat? There's so many other issues when protein is a non-issue. It keeps coming up, though. As a vegan, it's one of the most common questions that I get and that a lot of my vegan friends will receive on a daily basis. Where do you get your protein? People don't understand that we recycle between 100 to 300 grams of our own protein every single day. Also, we need far less than what society has been telling us. There's a lot of propaganda out there being spread by the meat and dairy industries. We need far, far less. The World Health Organization has a 265-page report on amino acids and protein needs for human beings. The report was first published in the 60s, and then they redid it in the 80s, and it's been republished as early as 2007. In that study, they show that human beings' consumption is somewhere between 2 to 10% of our total calories, and as long as you eat enough calories from whole plant-based foods, you're going to get enough protein. Consuming approximately 5% of calories from protein is difficult to avoid if you're eating enough food to meet your daily calorie needs. All plant foods contain protein, and even if you ate a diet of only white rice, not recommended, but you would still end up with 8% protein for the day. But would it be the right kind of protein? Of course it would. Proteins complicate molecules made by assembling simple building blocks, amino acids. Together in a polypeptide chain, some 20 different amino acids are used to synthesize proteins, 8 or 9 of which are designated essential, depending upon whose information you read. The term essential in nutrition means that the nutrient in question must be eaten or otherwise consumed, as the body cannot synthesize it. The problem lies in eating too much protein. People are so concerned about not eating enough, but the fact is that Americans and humans in general are getting too much. Be concerned about eating too much rather than not eating enough. To listen to the proponents of the meat industry, one would think we are in imminent danger of disease and death if we fail to consume enough meat 3 times a day. The truth is that eating meat causes the very conditions we're taught to fear. This is to surprise most people who have been taught incorrectly that we need large amounts of protein to be healthy. Actually, the reverse is true. Most people suffer from an overdose of protein each day, and this accounts for a great deal of our ill health. Too much protein in our diets is associated with all manner of health impairments, including symptoms such as constipation, digestive disorders that often lead to toxemia, toxic blood and tissues, and eventually cancer, autoimmune dysfunction, arthritis, and all other autoimmune conditions, premature aging, impaired liver function, kidney failure, osteoporosis, and many other degenerative and pathogenic conditions result from eating protein than we need. So people should be much more concerned with eating too much than eating too little. I'm very excited to bring on my guest today, durianrider Harley Johnstone. He's one of the people who inspired me to go vegan back in 2010, watching his videos and sharing his story. Harley, welcome to The Vegan Truth. How are you doing today? Good morning to you, by the way. You're calling me from the future right now. I know you're calling from Australia. It's Saturday morning, but the show airs on Friday. Welcome to The Vegan Truth. I have a question for you to begin. How did you find a vegan diet, and when did you decide that it was the optimal lifestyle for you?
I learned about the vegan diet when I was about 12 years old. Next door was some... Actually, they've been vegetarian, to be honest. I knew about vegetarian when I was 12 years old. And hippies asked my mum and myself over for dinner. And I said to my mum, I was 12 years old, I said, I don't want to go and eat hippie food because I'll be starving. And mum said, go and eat the food, and if you're still hungry, I'll make some more when we get home. And I said, okay, that's a fair deal. And went over there and really enjoyed the food. And then fast forward to 2001, that's when I went vegan. So 12 years later, I ended up going vegan. I got really sick, and in 1999, a friend introduced me to a vegan tofu burger, and I said at the time, I don't eat tofu. And he says, have you ever had a tofu burger? And I said, well, I haven't. And he goes, how do you know you don't like something if you never tried it? It's just food, it's not going to kill you, it's just beans. I said, okay, cool. And he bought me the tofu burger, and I ate the whole thing. It's amazing. Then when I went vegan in 2001, when I heard the vegan lifestyle, I needed to do that to get healthy again. I was like, hang on, vegan, it's not too bad. Yeah, I could probably do that. And then went from there. And then got into the raw foods thing about a year later.
Then you started putting yourself out there on YouTube. Why were you putting yourself out there on YouTube to spread the vegan message? YouTube's
the second biggest search engine behind Google. Google owns YouTube. I just realised that was a powerful medium to get the message out there. And we can stay silent, but staying silent doesn't help anyone, doesn't help the planet, doesn't help the animals. So everybody has a responsibility to share the truth. Friends, don't let friends remain ignorant. And I feel the whole world is our friend. Let's just help everyone. Let's get on YouTube and smash it.
There's been some controversy I've heard from people from my own YouTube channel and friends, family members even, who disagree that a vegan diet is for everyone. There's that theory that human beings are all different. I don't know, people believing in the blood type diet or these other fat diets. And they think that everybody's different. Some people do better with meat-based diet. Some people will do better with a vegan diet. What is your opinion on that? Do you think that everyone is different or that we can all thrive on a vegan diet?
I agree. Everyone is different. If you're a parent and you've got kids and you're not too sure if you should feed them a vegan diet, I agree, because everyone's different. So what I want to do is have a pet cat, rat, or dog and have it around the house. And if you wake up one morning and the kids ate the dog, then that's what they need to do. And it's the same if you're an adult. If you come home and your spouse is eating the cat or is blending up the goldfish to make an omega-3 goldfish smoothie, then you know that that's just what I had to do. So don't have to pass any judgment. Just be tolerant, forgiving, and accepting of that. If you want to jump on the back of a chicken like a fox does, then you should eat chicken, definitely. But to say that we're listening to our instincts and then going to a fast food restaurant and ordering something on a plate that resembles nothing like the original form, and so not listening to instincts and just listening to learned behaviour. Everyone is different. Find out, do the experiment, go to the petting zoo, and if you just start salivating over the baby goats, then you need to eat meat, and you best jump on the back of that goat right there and then and get it, like a coyote would. Otherwise, a plant food diet is for you. Go to a fruit orchard, and if you feel a drive to pick the fruit off the ground or off the tree and put it in your mouth and eat it and chew it up, I'd say you're a vegan. If you go to the ocean and you see the pelican regurgitating a meal of fish for its baby and you wish you were the baby, then eat some fish. Just got to listen to your body.
You bring up a really good point about how every other animal in nature doesn't cook their food. They eat what is around them, what is easily accessible. But humans have this idea that we need to disguise our food before we eat it. We can't go out into nature. We could if we were all living in a climate where we could pick fruit and eat it off the tree, but we don't.
That's right.
It looks like all the animals in nature eat a raw food diet, and all animals in nature, I've never heard of animals having heart disease or cancer or diabetes, but only we and our pets who eat a cooked food diet that's disguised. We moved from the food industry. We're not allowed into slaughterhouses. We don't know what happened. We do now because of the invent of the internet. It's interesting that you bring up that if you smell a cow and it makes you hungry, then you probably should be eating meat. But if you look at a cow and you don't see food, you see an animal, then maybe you shouldn't be eating the cow. It's very good.
Or if you're going to wash your hands after petting a cow, but then you're going to put that cow's body parts in your mouth and chew them up, but you'd wash your hands after petting them.
Right. It is pretty funny.
Yeah. I'd question that. We'd go to the local fair and they'd always have the petting zoo, and I love the little animals. And I'd spend hours hanging out with the goats and the kangaroos and that. And then we'd go for lunch and Mum's like, always, we've got to wash your hands. And I'm say, why? And I say, well, you pet the animals. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And then we'd have ham and stuff and chicken for lunch.
Right.
Crazy.
And you just putting it in your mouth, too.
I'm licking it.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's such a skewed perspective that people have. I'm going to change subjects a little bit, but you tend to call out so many people who, fitness promoters, people who are on steroids, doctors, Twin Muscle Workout, or Elliot Holtz, or Dr. McCullough, Dr. Robert Lustig, people like this. You tend to call them out for their BS, things that they're selling to us, these whey protein powders, or saying that fruit makes you fat, and these myths. You call these people out because there's so much misinformation about diet out there. As a person in modern society, how do we know where to turn for the truth? Who is telling us the truth? Because there's so much misinformation and conflicting ideas. What should we look for if we don't want to get scammed when trying to improve our health?
Look what people are trying to sell you. Follow the money. Look what people are trying to sell you. All I've got for sale, literally, is a $2 audio book. Soon we'll have my book out, and that's all I'm going to be selling people is my book. All Freely sells people is a book. A lot of these people out there, they're getting funding, $1 million funding like Lustig and that, and Gary Taubes. They're getting mega funding from the meat and dairy industry into their so-called research. Guys on YouTube doing steroids. Because they do steroids doesn't make them bad people. What they're doing is they're pretending they're natural bodybuilders and they're using steroids to sell ebooks and market stuff to kids. And they'll have affiliate links to protein supplements and this stuff. And the teenage audiences from 13 to 16-year-old kids want to put on some muscle. And they're looking at these guys on steroids and going, I want to look like that. And they're thinking, if I buy their protein powder, then I'll look like that. But the reality is the protein powder doesn't make that big as the steroids. You can guzzle the protein powder in the world. It's not going to make you look like a steroid user. And if you do steroids, it's your choice. But I just want to educate the viewer that there's a lot of people out there doing steroids. There's a lot of people out there selling bullshit. There's a lot of people out there trying to get research grants and meat and dairy industries, whatever. So be careful, use intuition. And when you carb up, get enough early nights, you can start to see, there's a saying, real eyes realize real lies. So once you get more experienced and carbed up and see the world a bit more, you can start to see the bullshit and call it when you see it. I love the saying, friends don't let friends remain ignorant. So I call these people out, try and use a bit of humour. And I don't hate, but I want to call out the bullshit. I want to call out the bad behaviour and share my experience and share my truth with the end goal of not making more money for myself, but making more aware consumers out there, more aware people. That's my end goal, end of the day. People see me, I've got holes in my shirt, I live in a decrepit house, I ride a nice bike and I eat great food. I'm not driven by excess materialism or I don't wear a white shirt. I live a very, very simple lifestyle so I can be honest with people. I'm happy to live on welfare if need be, like I did for many years. I'd rather tell the truth than tell bullshit and sell bullshit.
Some of these people who are demonizing fruit, Robert Lustig, he's one of the guys who is demonizing fruit, and there's other people who are saying if you consume fruit, you'll get fat. It leads to, The Guardian had an article recently about the sugar, fructose in smoothies would lead to heart disease and cancer and all this stuff. Why do you think there's so much misinformation about fruit out there? Why do you think people are profiting or selling their products and demonizing fruit? Why is fruit the bad guy?
I've got a few theories. First of all, the Guardians and the LA Times are hilarious because they'll have an article about why fruit's bad for you. Then a few pages later, it'll be an advert from McDonald's. Or then months later, they'll go, oh, the raw food diet's incredible, cures cancer. And this is my little theory now. My little durianrider conspiracy theory for Friday afternoon. I believe that New World Order, etc., fruit is a conscious expanding food. when you live on fruit and eat a lot of calories from fruit, your whole mental state starts to shift. I don't care how much of a redneck you are or whatever. I was a redneck. I was raised in a redneck area of Australia, and I was very, very redneckish. The redneck gene was strong in durianrider. But once I got in the vegan path, the fruit path, I started to see things a lot differently. So my theory is that the system, the corporation, the NWA, whatever you want to call it, New World Order, they don't want people conscious and living on a fruit-based vegan diet. Because when you're doing that, you're hanging, I don't want to have all these excesses in my life and material excess of bullshit. I don't want to become a soldier and shoot people for some oil war. I don't want to be a redneck anymore. I want to do something different. I want to nurture the planet. I want to nurture my health. When you become that sort of mentality, the whole economic system starts to crumble down. And a new economic system starts to forge up, something that's better for the planet, the animals, and humanity. So that's my theory, is that the mainstream, NWO, whatever you want to call it, Illuminati, or just corporate interest, doesn't want the fruit thing taken off because it's too much of a threat to the mainstream society.
Wow. You're saying that the New World Order or corporate interest is keeping people down away from truth. What you were saying earlier about not getting scammed, when people are selling something, it's because they're selling something, like in the adverts, McDonald's and other fast food companies and pharmaceutical companies even, trying to keep people sick, ignorant, and brainwashed. Good point.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I did a video I put on YouTube. I call it McDonald's prank with durianrider. Well, me and Freddie we started talking to people. People thinking, they're eating Big Macs and they're saying, rice makes you fat, but they're eating Big Macs. They've been taught that rice and fruit is fattening. So if you're going to have something fattening, may as well be a cheeseburger. Because if you eat the same calories from fruit or same calories from rice or same calories from a cheeseburger or a Big Mac, it's going to be the same. So they're thinking, stuff it, I'll just eat the Big Mac and cheeseburger because that's what I know and that's what's cheap and that's what's easy to get. There's a lot of confusion out there. People give up, put their hands in the air and go, fuck it, I'm just going to eat that crap. Because calories are calorie, right?